Hey there, I'm Steve, and welcome to Jamsin Entertainment. Welcome to the conversation. Just before we get started, there are many ways you can help. You can like and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. But most importantly, please share this video. Get the word out there as a community. We can talk about all things that we love. Today on Throwback Thursday, we're looking at Psycho. A couple years ago, I bought a box set of the Alfred Hitchcock movies because I've never seen any of them. I did watch the Alfred Hitchcock show as a kid growing up, which is kind of his variation of the Twilight Zone. As a kid, it scared me, and I know how famous this movie is, possibly because of its age. This, I think, raised the bar at the time for thriller horror movie. I wouldn't even really call this horror. I would just call this a thriller. And I think this set the bar back in the 60s. But the movie's really straightforward. The story is also a mystery, but it's only a mystery to the other characters in it. Like a lot of mystery stories, there's an explanation at the end. The explanation in here, I think, could have played out far better if it was implemented more, instead of just being told. The movie starts by following a young woman named Marion. She's a secretary at a realtor's office, and her boss brings in a client that's going to buy a building in cash, $40,000 worth, which back in the 60s was a lot of money. Right at this moment is where the movie is a little weak, because Marion just decides to steal the $40,000. She's supposed to go to the bank and deposit it. She doesn't do that. There's no real reason why she's doing this. You could read into things and say she's unhappy with her life and she wants something more out of it, and she thinks this money will do that for her because she is seeing a man, Sam, and it opens up with them in a hotel room, and she wants to get married to him, and he thinks he doesn't have a whole lot to offer her. So there is a reason for it. I think the fact that it just happens. She doesn't call Sam or anything like that. She just takes the money. She drives off. So she's in Arizona. She drives off to California, and she even buys a new car, and then she goes to the hotel and she meets Norman Bates. I think part of what makes this a classic raises the bar when it came out. I could be wrong. This is probably the first look at a psychopath on the big screen, because it is based off a novel. I think what was chilling was that Norman Bates just looks like anyone else. In fact, in the Addams Family movie, they make a joke about that. If you haven't seen the movie Psycho, I'm sure you're familiar with the murder music and the famous shower scene. And because she goes missing, her sister starts looking for her. So she goes to her boyfriend, Sam. While she's talking to him and a private investigator who was hired by the man that was going to buy the building because his money's missing. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of the review, the explanation of why Norman does what he does would have fit in far better if they showed and just not had an exposition dump at the end. They do show a little bit. Alfred Hitchcock is known for being the master of suspense. Maybe if I didn't know as much about this movie as I do, I probably could have appreciated this more, but it just fell flat for me. I feel like I didn't really watch this for the first time, and because of that, I think I had higher expectations for this movie. I find it difficult to recommend this movie. You know nothing about it outside of what I've talked about. I think you can enjoy it. There are good parts in this. Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates does a good job of portraying this lonely but disturbed man, but unfortunately it's not consistent, and I think that's just due to the style of acting back then. If you're curious to see a movie that raised the bar when it comes to thrillers, I would catch this on streaming. Those are my thoughts on Psycho. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what you saw, like it. If you think other people like it, share it. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and live your imagination.